and thank you for Mount Vernon hosting us today. I want to recognize Ron Brandt. Where did you go? There he is, back in the back. Ron helped make this happen and has been a long time Virginia Interfaith Center leader in the region, so thank you, Ron, for that. I want to recognize Karen McAvish, who's a current board member. United Methodist, but we'll let her in the Unitarian Church. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. So we really wanted to do this event to thank Senator Surovell for his leadership on paid sick days. And many of you have told me you know him, you knew him when he was a young kid. There's going to be a lot of stories I'm afraid you're going to hear here. I'm sorry. But you all know him, and we know him as just a terrific senator and leader in Virginia. But I want to tell you why he's been so important to us this year on paid sick days. And I can only do that by giving you a little history on this. So we've been working for several years trying to get a very modest paid sick day standard. Essentially a requirement that every employer would have to provide up to 5 paid sick days a year for workers. There's 1.2 million workers in Virginia with no paid sick days at all. So no PTO, no vacation they can use for sick, like nothing. And so again, this is something that increasingly states around the country are doing, is saying, you know, you do need to provide a few paid sick days. So a couple years ago, in 2020, we got a bill through the House, and then we got to the Senate, and we got killed on the floor of the Senate, mostly around the issue of whether or not part-time workers should have paid sick days. As many of you know, a lot of folks without paid sick days are part-time workers. Lots of folks work multiple part-time jobs, right? Excluding them is a big problem, and almost no state that's passed this has excluded part-time workers. But, you know, again, this is Virginia, so sometimes we have to do things slowly. But anyway, so the bill got killed. So we came back in 2021. By this point, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and initially tried to get a bill in the special session, then came back in the regular session, and eventually got a bill for 30,000 home care workers to get paid sick days. So, you know, a good start, or as I said at the bill signing, a good down payment on a broader standard. So then keep going. And again, wouldn't you think in the midst of a pandemic, people would understand the need for workers to have a few paid sick days? So then we get to the fall trying to figure out what to do, and thought, well, you know, it's going to be tough to get a full standard, but let's focus again on these essential workers. And so we narrowed it down to let's try to see if we could get a paid sick day standard for healthcare workers, 25% of whom don't have paid sick days, and for grocery store workers, 2/3 of whom in Virginia don't have any paid sick days. And again, that seemed like a logical thing. And in the past, one of our challenges had been in the Senate, and so we actually thought to ourselves, who would be the best person out there to possibly carry a bill for us? And who do you think that was? And let me tell you why. One, on a practical level, he serves on the committee that hears it, right? So again, having somebody from the committee, that's a good thing. But it was really more than that. It was that he was smart and would really learn what the issues were and be able to sort of fight for them. He was respected by his colleagues. And so he could talk with them about why excluding people because they're part-time or excluding small businesses, why either one of those was problematic. He could understand that. And he's a great champion on bills, right? And so he was like our dream person, and he said, okay. And he said, but I think we're going to have a problem in the House. And indeed we did, right? But he got a very good bill out of the Senate. And in the process, I know, because I talked to some of his colleagues, there were people whose minds were changed about some of these exclusions. So again, this public policy stuff, it's really a long game, right? You can't win it right over, but and so building that support in the Senate so that when we're able to, we can get something through. He really helped us move that forward this year. The bill got sent to a committee that had never existed before in the House, and every single bill that was sent to that committee got killed. And so we referred to it as the Killing Fields Committee. But it clearly was set up just to kill things. But you know what? He went there and he presented the bill and we were there, but he was there, he presented it, and he answered questions, and we knew we were going down, but he was still there. He was still present. He was still fighting the good fight. And this is a long game, right? So we got a very good bill out of the Senate without exclusions. We got killed quickly in the House. But there's people on that committee that we can move, that we can, we're going to be working, we're going to Lynchburg. We're going to get people meeting with the chair of the committee who need paid sick days. So we're going to keep working on it in the House. And then we're also going to look at, are there some other ways we can expand paid sick days? And so after the senator speaks, I want to tell you about another way we're going to try and expand paid sick days here in Northern Virginia. But I can't thank Senator Surovell enough, because it helped move the issue forward. It kept it alive this year. And again, getting a good bill out was terrific. And he was a wonderful champion. So on behalf of the Virginia Interfaith Center, we want to say thank you and give you a little plaque. Okay.
Thank you. That's a big one. It's a good thing we're getting a new office building. I'm going to have lots of new wall space, and you all ought to come visit. Our new General Assembly building is going to be amazing. It opens in October. But it's always good to be here in the Unitarian Church. Several of my family members were married here. I think we had a service for my grandmother here. My family seems to do a lot of events here, and this place has been this church was actually founded by some of my grandparents' friends from Tuxamont back in the 1940s. So it's always good to do things here. A lot of like-minded folks, especially people from my neighborhood, my community that I know here, and I appreciate the work you all do. I think it's important that we remind the Commonwealth that there's a lot of ideological diversity within the faith community. I feel like that. At least the media narrative tends to focus heavily on I would say, the more conservative, more conservative crowd. And it's important that we get the message out that the faith community is also progressive. And you all, with the work you do, not just on this issue, but a lot of other issues, I think, help with that message, which needs to be out there. So, on this issue, when Kim brought it to me, I'd obviously seen the bill go through several times. I think I voted for it every time when it went through. But a couple of my colleagues took issue with, people that were working 5 or 10 hours a week, taking sick leave when they had the rest of the week to work or whatever, and they just weren't persuadable about that. But, in terms of policy, I always think about what President Obama always said about change being sort of an incremental task. It's often hard to get everything you want at once, and so you have to make little changes. And the example he gave is, if you're driving a ship across the ocean, you turn the wheel every so often. Eventually, you get to where you want to go. You might not be going there to start, but if you keep turning it every little bit, eventually you get there. And that's kind of how I viewed this bill. So, to me, it was just kind of a head scratcher as to why we wouldn't want to encourage sick leave for or require sick leave for grocery store workers or healthcare workers. Especially when we came out of that pandemic. I remember going down to the Safeway and seeing the people that were there at the cash register getting exposed every day and had no choice but to go to work while the rest of us are, not the rest of us, but a lot of us are sitting at home, we're working from home on our computers and we're not working at all. But these people had to be out there so people could eat. And then you had other people in the hospitals caring for people who got sick and getting exposed on a regular basis. And if you are economically struggling and you don't have paid sick leave, that means you got to go to work if you're sick, which is not what you want in a pandemic, right? You don't want sick people coming to work and spreading around every person that goes through the cash register or everybody through that emergency room or whatever. So to me, it just made perfect sense. But the House of Delegates thought otherwise. So in any event, this is an issue we're making progress on. We'll continue to make progress on it. And your all's advocacy, I think, is pretty important, because also when I just stand up there and have an idea, it lends a lot of credibility and validation to the idea. If there's people standing behind me that say they support it or their organization supports it, instead of it just being Scott Surovell's idea. So, your all's advocacy and reinforcing it with other members so that other members know that people are paying attention to watching their vote, and it all makes it possible to get bills to pass and to keep up the drumbeat that'll eventually get this through. So we'll see about this new governor. I'm not sure he's going to be too favorable towards this, even if I do get it out of the legislature. But you never know. You never know, and you always have to keep trying. So, and by the way, that committee, when committees are set up like that, we tend to call them the Death Star. And so, from my point of view, Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? I mean, he got struck down in the Death Star, but I think he told Darth Vader, you can strike me down now, but I will come back even more powerful than I was before, or something like that. So, so in any event, that's how I view these fights. So, anyway, I appreciate the recognition. I'm gonna have to. Now I got something else to fill my wall with in Richmond. So, all that new empty wall space I have. So, I appreciate all you do, and I'm happy to continue working with you on this and other issues as well. There's always lots to work on in this state. So thank you very much.
Well, like I said earlier, I do think it's going to take us a little while right now, because we've got, I met with a number of the new leadership in the House who are on the committee that will hear paid sick days. And there were two main themes that I heard. One was to pass a paid sick day standard is a slippery slope to Western Europe. And I was like, huh. And I was like, well, that would have to be a very slippery slope. Okay. And the other one I heard, including from the chair of the committee, is that if people want paid sick days, they should really just go get more job training and go get another job. But we're always going to need people doing these grocery store jobs and doing healthcare jobs and like all these jobs. Like these jobs are not going away. So, we have some educational work to do. And again, it really is, I think, kind of people don't quite understand, right? They really don't understand. So we need to put people in front of them that can help them understand these issues. Because again, it's not like they're all evil people or something. They're not. They care about folks, but somehow have a worldview on this that's a bit challenging right now. So we're going to have to move them, I think. But again, we can. Again, I remind people repeatedly that, we got Medicaid expansion when Republicans were in charge, right? So again, it's not that we can't move some of this stuff. So we're going to do that. In the meanwhile, because I think it is going to take us a little while in the House, we have another fight that we think we might be able to win here in Northern Virginia, which is to get paid sick days and health care for airport workers. So I'm going to pass out a flyer about this. So about 2,000 workers at Dulles and National Airports do not have paid sick days and do not have any employer-provided health care. And so there is a effort that we are supporting to try to get the airport authority to agree to set a standard at the airports for these 2,000 workers. It's not the 1.2 million we could get with a paid sick day standard, but 2,000 is an important, again, step forward. And so over the next few weeks, we're going to be assembling a religious fact-finding delegation to try and learn more about this situation. If you are interested in joining that fact-finding delegation, I hope you will tell me and I'll write down your name and we'll be back in touch with some possible dates on that. So before we close, I want to recognize Ann Murphy and Kay Dolan, longtime leaders with Virginia Interfaith. So thank you all for joining us. So we're going to adjourn to the outdoor patio where we're going to have snacks and a little cheese and some punch and water that some folks here at the church have prepared for us. And would like you to come and join and talk to the senator. And yes, I saw a question. Before we head out and enjoy, I want to thank Senator Surovell for those of us in this neighborhood for his very successful, over a year and a half effort to save River Farm. It wasn't obvious, but you know, it took a while. So Kim, I have no doubt that over time this fight's going to work. Thank you very much. It was brilliantly done. Excellent. So I wonder, as our way of adjourning and moving out to the other room, if everyone would stand and give the senator another round of thanks.